Hello and welcome to the SaturdayMP Show, episode 22, being recorded November 30th, 2023. This is a show that helps you ship secure, high-quality software faster. And today we're going to do that through some live coding and working on the Saturday Morning Productions website, which you can just find at SaturdayMP.com. It's just a pretty basic website, doesn't have a lot of functionality, just kind of promotes my consulting business. And this is for those that didn't watch the last episode, this is a continuation of the last episode where we're trying to add, we're adding HTTP Basic Authentication to the Saturday Morning Productions website. So when we're in a staging environment, other people can't access it. So we're going to continue working on that today. So go check out the previous video if you haven't yet, but I'll give a quick summary here in a second. The other kind of bookkeeping thing we got to do is if you have any questions or comments or feedback, please leave it in the comments below if you're watching us on YouTube. Otherwise, you can send an email to ask@SaturdayMP.com. That's ask@SaturdayMP.com. I'd love to hear some feedback, and if you have a question or an example you want me to walk through in a future video, let me know. We've had one person do that in the past, and I'd love to do some more of those. All right, so a quick summary of what happened last time is we got the basic authentication working in our Docker container, which is just a passenger. So we have the website's a Ruby on Rails application. We're running a passenger Docker container. I and as people watching with me, encouraging me through the YouTube and through time and space, watched me add some basic authentication here. It's kind of handled down here. So I guess we got it working, but we weren't happy with the way it was working. And the other problem we ran into is me not thinking far enough ahead, where the website is hosted in a service called Render, so render.com, and we're using, to get the staging environment, we're using these service previews. And the way they work is whenever you create a branch or a pull request, Render will just copy your existing kind of production server implementation. Well, not copy, but it'll create a new instance based off that branch, and it's great for like the static websites that, are pretty simple websites like we have for Saturday Morning Productions here. But the downside is anyone can just go and see what the URL is pretty easy to figure out. Like you can see down here, just got the PR and the number and stuff. So it's pretty easy for other people to figure out. And it's not a huge deal because we don't have a lot going on this website, but it's still probably good practice for me to protect the staging websites, and we want to add more to the website too. So if we start adding some more advanced features, we want to do this. So you could create this, or you could set up to have these PR previews. But the problem is there's the way to enable. So we only want to enable the HTTP basic authentication if it's in staging, and to do that we have to, during the render build running of the Docker image, we need to check if this environment variable is set to true or false. This is pull request. If it's set to true, then we want to enable the HTTP basic authentication. If it's false, we don't want to. So yeah, in the last video we basically walked through setting up basic authentication using this kind of the guide here. And then towards the end of the video too, for whatever reason, I had my Docker image. This Docker image has been around for a while, but I have basically arguments and then environment set up here. And I don't know if this was a new change or not, but I didn't think I could set default environment variables or something like that. I don't know, but you can set them default environment variables in Docker file, and you can use this -- word or the plus word, and we're going to use the minus word. The variable, so the idea is that if we pass in that particular environment variable, it'll override. This is default if the environment variable isn't passed in. If it is passed in, then use this. So I don't know if that's a new feature or I just didn't know about it in the past, but we can clean up our Docker file, the SaturdayMP Docker file, that way. Because right now we're just using these arguments and we're doing it build time, but it'd be great if we could turn basic authentication on and off whenever we start the container up. That would be fantastic. And to help with that too, we'll also edit this Docker entry point so that if it's in, so we could check for that preview. Where did it go? Yeah, this one. This is pull request preview here. We can check that in the Docker file or in the startup file. If that's true, then enable the basic authentication. If it's false, then don't. So, all right. So let's see what we. All right. So so for those of you who haven't watched this in the past, this is kind of live coding. So last video I made some mistakes, and I'll probably make some this time. So if you want a more polished, a couple of my other videos are a little more polished, less live coding. But if you want those, you can find a lot of the polished ones online. This is kind of more watching the developer at work in real life and watching them make mistakes. And I always like to imagine that some of you are just at the screen yelling at me when I do something stupid or when I miss something. Like sometimes I watch my videos again in the past and I'm like, oh, how did I miss that? Like the error was really obvious to me, but I fumbled around for 10 minutes before I read the documentation or reread the error message or figured it out. So, all right. So, but it's kind of a bit of a mess here because we've been experimenting with stuff. So let's start cleaning some of this up and set it up so that we can start testing for that is pull request variable. So the first couple of things I think we'll do is these don't need to be arguments. These can be environment variables. And if this works, I might clean up some of these other ones down here, but for now we're just going to leave them. We'll refactor that at the end. So I think I could just do this minus off, if I remember correctly. So that should be, if this is set, if we don't pass in a basic auth environment variable, this is what it's going to use for the environment. If it is passed in, then use whatever one is passed in. So I think that's what we want to do, because in development, so this Docker file here is set up by default to work on a developer's machine, and we don't want basic authentication turned on a developer's machine. But in staging, and in production, we don't want it turned on, so we'll have to add a check for that. But in staging, we want it turned on. So, and right now, I kind of like, is that going to work? Like, I kind of like the idea of this setting every time you start up the container, I kind of like the idea of being able to do that when you start up the container or stop it rather than having it during the build. Because that would give me more flexibility. Because right now, actually, the container is built by render. When I do a push to, say, the main branch or when that PR is created, the container is rebuilt from scratch. But ideally, it'd be nice if we could eventually upload this container to compile, like build it for production, and then upload it to a container registry on, like, basically this is hosted in GitLab right now. So I could use like GitLab container registry or something like that. And then the build process would just pull that container down instead of rebuilding it. I think that would be nicer in the long run. And in that case, we'd want it to be, because staging and production would use the same container image. The only thing that would change is if the basic authentication should be turned on or off. So in that case, we would want this to be done in the startup script in the entry point here. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So I thought about this a little bit the other night. I did a little bit of experimenting reading. So I did do a little bit of homework, but not a lot. I haven't actually tried this. So again, if this fails, this will be a video about what not to do. And then I guess hopefully it inspires some people to be like, oh yeah, it's okay to make mistakes. If Chris makes mistakes, And for those who don't know, I've been a software developer for almost 25 years now, so I still make mistakes all the time. The other thing I've really noticed since making these videos is the generalist side of me really shows up, where I have basic knowledge about a lot of things, but no in-depth knowledge. Where I find when I watch some of those other videos, some people really have they have very specific knowledge about some technology, where I'm just a very generalist. Work a lot with small, medium-sized businesses, work in a lot of different languages, a lot of different technologies. So I always have to look up how to do. Usually I know you can do something in a particular language or technology. I just don't know how. So, okay, but anyway, so this is our website right now. And right now, during the build process, we copy that file. Where is it? Right here. So we basically copy this file to the sites enabled. And what I want to do instead, I think, is I want to copy this as like a template file so that I can use this env, this command here, this environment substitution command. And that'll take input and it will replace any environment variables it finds with. It'll take string where you can pipe through or redirect a file into it, and it'll take that any string and any environment variables it finds. It will replace them with any environment variables that are loaded. So that's kind of cool. So that's useful. That's what we're going to try and do. But to do that, we're going. We need this to be like not named this. I think we'll just call it like a .template. So doing some other research, I know a lot of people like to call this like website.template. And then you have I have that command. I don't have the substitution command in there, but it would be env substitution. And then we would want to direct. Oh wait, how does this work again? See, again, I have to look. So I don't think we need to list them, but we could just list them all. Yeah, env subset. Okay. So GitHub Copilot thinks we want to do the YAML config. But and see, this doesn't work. So this is bad because it's redirecting this database.yaml file to the database.yaml file. But when I tried that and did some more research, you're going to actually end up with an empty file. Just the way these redirects work in Linux is this, you'll end up with an empty database YAML file. So they have to actually be different file names. So in our case, we'd want to go to, not slash, we're going to go config NGINX, and we want to do something like website dot. Like actually, where's a good place to put this? Because I kind of like this. I guess we could just leave it in NGINX website.template. Yeah, sure, let's call it .conf.template. Or do I want the template.conf at the end? Sure, because the nice thing if I have the .conf, I think it will any nice editors, if it's a .conf file, it'll display it properly. And then, what are you trying to do there? Let's see. Oh, I don't want default config, but I definitely want to redirect it to etc. NGINX sites enabled. Yeah, website.conf. So I think a command like that would work. And then I would wrap it in an if statement. So this Docker entry point is currently only used in development, but if we're going to enable it, if we're going to use this in production, we also need to use it in there. But then we only really want to check if no, I don't want the server PID. I'll figure this out later. Let's just put the pseudocode in here. If The database is not. It's always interesting to see what GitHub Copilot says. If is a render pull request, then enable the PR preview. Okay. Does it give me anything useful? Oh yeah, look at that. Okay, so it's not render pull request. Enabling PR preview. It's not exactly what I wanted. It's pretty close though. It's trying really hard, because what was the name of that variable? It was is pull request. Okay, so oh, is it -n? How do I compare? I just look at the value there, so I don't even really $sign is pull. So I guess the one thing, what happens if this, if it's true, then do the thing. Do I need a semicolon at the end of that? I don't think I do. Let me see. Oh yeah, I do. Apparently I don't want it right there. Then do this. Bye. Oh, and I should probably put that echo in there. I do love GitHub Copilot suggesting, yeah. So in this case, we're not enabling turn on HTTP basic auth. Sure. Yeah, that's something I like that GitHub info is doing for me, is it's suggesting that I add more like notifications or logging or something like that. I think that's really good. Something I don't do enough of. So I think something like this would work. As this is like a staging environment. The is pull request environment variable is set by render, and then let's put like oh, is that the actual? Oh, look at that. That is the actual documentation. I guess we could even go a little further. Wow, that's pretty good. Okay. Let's see. There. So if people want to go check that out, so like that. So I need to do that. So be assuming this entry point's only used in development, it's not anymore. And the reason I want to install the gems and the npm packages inside the Docker entry point is because these are actually stored in a volume in development. So I don't use this. The Docker Compose here is only used for development. You can see here I have volumes for the node modules and the bundler, the gems. And I like to do that so that I can destroy the Docker container, but the volume still lives. So when I recreate the container, I don't have to re-download all the gems and all the npm packages, which takes a while. So I'm starting to experiment with putting the gems, well, the node modules would kind of do it by default, but just on the local drive instead of in a volume. So I might, I guess I have an experiment. I've been thinking about doing that. So I'll have to see maybe if I end up doing that in the long run. But for now, they live in volumes. So in production, I don't use the volumes. I just have the, it's kind of a small screen here when I make it big. So for viewing, right, like I check if it's in development. If it's not in development, then just install all the production gems. If it's in development, don't install them when I build the Docker file, but instead install them when I run it. So, okay, so we'll have to add a check here. If, in this case, I just want to really copy this, I think, right? really what I want to do. Then do this. I don't want that. And I should put this echo in here. Let's put that in there. Put a period at the end, I guess. In this case, we don't want that. We want, ooh, is it equals or equals? I'll come back and figure that out. Echo, yeah, installing gems and packages for development. Okay. And that's nice too, because then every time, if there's any changes, the next time you run it, like say, I guess it's a small team, it's just me and another fellow helping me with it, but the website, but if there's any changes to the gem files like this, the next time you run it, it'll just automatically get installed. You don't have to remember to rebuild your container, which is kind of cool. Okay, so I think that's set up. We'll have to test this obviously, but I think that looks okay. Now the other thing I have to do is I have to go, so here's the command, but when I run, I also want to run this entry point here. So, because before I didn't care, this entry point didn't matter in production, but in production I do need it. So, is this how do I set that entry point? I guess I should look that up. Docker file entry point. Run. Entry point. There we are. From which I configure a container that will run as an executable. For example, the following starts NGINX. Only the last entry point instruction, that's fine. Let's top, but I want, can I have a file? I should be able to have a file, you'd think, right? Entry point. Okay. Both command and entry point instructions define what command gets executed when running a container. So we have a command already. Entry point should be defined when using container as an executable. Command should be used as a way of defining default arguments for an entry point command or for scheduling an ad hoc command in a container. Command will be overwritten when running the container with alternative arguments. Okay. Not allowed. So no command. Entry point. All right, so it just executes the last one. In this case, it executes both of them. Execute command. No, if command. Setting entry point will reset command to an empty value. Oh, now I'm curious. Because in the Docker file, I have both, right? I think. Or in the Docker compose. Right, we have, this is the command. And this is the entry point we want to run. Oh, right, yeah, okay. So this argument will get passed to this entry point, which is this docker entry point.sh, and then this argument here will be run at the very end. Oh, right, okay. So I should be able to set this to, I guess I could just copy this one. One like that. So I think that should work. Oh, and if you see these REM, that's just, for those who didn't watch previous video, that's just for me to remind me to come back and either update comments or clean things up. So like I probably should put some in here. It just makes it easier for me to search rather than using to do or anything like that. And I think this came way back when I started my career. There was bash scripts and I was doing VB6 and stuff like that. No, people are already using to do and work around and stuff like that like 20, 25 years ago. And then I just wanted to find my changes or things that I needed to do. Okay, so I don't need this anymore. I don't need this anymore. And I don't think, right, because I'm going to have to change all these environment variables. I think, well, I guess we could just try setting the ones for now. Right, because right now, so it says, because I didn't know about this environment substitution command back in the day, so I just used my own sed. So when I created, because NGINX config won't let you, it doesn't allow you to have environment variables here, so I would create my own. So this is a new one I just added for this basic authentication. But down here, this is ones that I've had for a while, and there's a port here too. So, and then, as I explained last video, I need to run as root in development so I can write to the volume, because all these files live in a Docker volume. If NGINX is in root, it'll freak out. So, and then in production, I need to run as like app or some other thing. Okay. Oh, plugin support config files. Sure. Okay. Well, of course, it's going to take forever now. NGINX configuration pro. Oh, these are NGINX configuration files. Oh, that's kind of cool. Comp files. Do I want to install this? Did it get good reviews? I'm always a little hesitant to install some of these plugins sometimes, so I'm never quite sure what they do. I don't know. Okay. Maybe I won't install this one. I like it better when they're a little more supported. Okay, so we'll just ignore that for now. Can I just make this go away? All right. Right, so we have to do a couple things. We want to change this to a template. Right, so let's might as well rename it first. Where's the renaming? Refactor rename. Template. Okay. And instead of this basic auth here, we need this to be basic auth here. And hopefully, theoretically, this environment substitution command should set that. And the other thing we need to do is we also need to set up the, because we need two things. We need to set this to either off or something that's not off. And then we also need to create this HT password file, which I don't want to store in the Git repository. So, right, and I created it with this here. All right, so this should create the password with those two things, the password file. No, wait, do I need to? Probably an easier way. Like I should just, this substitution is going to have to happen whether this is true or false, because otherwise it's going to error out because it's just going to find this basic auth is like this. So maybe what I need to do, is pull, so do I even need to check if this pull request is true, or can I just set, maybe I don't even need that. I could just check, right, these environment variables will get set for development, that's fine. But then in staging or, oh, right, but okay. I will need to check this because I can't, the way the render pull requests or the previews work is it just copies your production environment, including all the environment variables. So I will need to check this because then I need to change them. So if it is true, then these variables need to change. Or at least this one needs to change. Development and password. I could just set those ones I don't want in the script or anywhere in the source code. So these we would just set in render in the, when we set up the environment, there's a place you can enter environment variables. And for the basic authentication, we have this to off here. So these actually have to live outside of, and this part we want to export basic auth equals restricted. So basically you just set this basic auth, as long as it's not off, or sorry, I guess in here, as long as this isn't off, like if you just put it to off, then if it's set to anything else, whatever that anything else is, sometimes depends on the browser, might be shown in that little pop-up window when you do basic authentication. So like this restricted would show up. Do I need to export or just set? Oof. Let's see. So Linux change environment variable. But I have a running process just of. Necessary cookies. Just set it for the current shell. Just set it permanently. How do I change an existing one? Of a running process. How to view. How to create. Unset. Oh yeah, because I can do unset. Can you change? I don't know. Let's see. So, how do I change an existing environment variable in Linux? I guess maybe export. Can I just Oh yeah, permanently. But these are the same. Oh, that's interesting. Path equals path, new path. Okay. I guess I could just export it, sure. Okay, so done. I think, so we'll have to test all this here. So this could be basic auth. That's good. And then in, oh yeah, so the Docker file, I set it up to do this. All right, so I think, well, let's try building this for development and see what happens. And then we'll try committing it, because I have a whole build process that'll build everything in GitLab. Now let's see if that works. So let's just gonna drop any containers that I have just to make sure they're all not running. And then we'll rebuild it here. Oh, it's taking a long time. Okay, Docker compose build. All right, we'll let that do its thing. I think that's everything I need. Yeah, because GitLab, I don't need to do, this is just for doing the tests, so this will run it like it's development, right? Oh, I do set it to test. Oh, oh, I switched between test and development. Oh, but this should be development to start with. Okay. Run. I should be okay. Okay. How do I check? If statement based on let's see. Oh, yeah, so it's shell script. Okay, good. Thanks. Thanks for figuring that out. Oh, just one equals. Okay. I wonder, can I check? How do I check if a variable, if an environment variable is one of many possible values? Oh, in a shell script. Probably don't want a case statement because it's only two, development or test. Oh, just or, okay. I have to write a separate one. Okay. Hopefully that's right. I guess we'll find out. So I need the or. Okay. Oh, we got an error here. Oh, this copy, this file doesn't exist anymore, right? So I need to, this, I don't want to copy anymore here. For this one, I'll just leave it, but eventually we'll do that environment substitution there too, I think. And this, I don't need any of this except for this run rm negative, yeah, that one. Oh, nope, No, okay, I don't know what. Negative F. Oh, it's a competition between GitHub, or the JetBrains IDE autocomplete, I think, and GitHub Copilot there. Oh, no, wait. I do still need to replace those. Oh, okay. Yeah, for now, I'll need to replace them. So I still do, because we're just going to do this one at a time, and then we'll do all those variables. So this would be template.config, template.config. Where do I have it here? Website. That is kind of. Oh yeah, I guess I don't want it in sites enabled. Where's a good place to put that? All right, what did they recommend again? Where to put NGINX template files? I guess templates. Oh, okay, NGINX templates. Where did that exist in the passenger Docker image? If I need to create it. Well, let's just see if it exists. If it doesn't exist, then we'll create it. Nope, I don't need that. So that's copying from the host. Templates. And so down here, I want to go from templates to that file. Okay. So let's see if oh, it didn't cache a lot of that stuff from last time. Okay, that's fine. Oh. Can't read. Oh, right. I need to change this for now. Templates. And the context file can stay the same. Oh, this needs to be website.template.conf. Right, so I think the NGINX Docker image added this ability to do this automatically, but we don't. I don't know if the passenger image will do that automatically. So, okay, so that looks good. We'll see if we got the actual. All right, we'll just see if this works here in a minute. Oh, and this video's starting. We're getting up to 40 minutes, so we might wrap this up here, and then maybe the next video is when we actually complete it. Because running it through the build takes a couple of minutes in GitLab and stuff. So let's just see if this seems to be working. And it looks like I think this is a reasonable solution. I'm not a huge I have a lot of if statements in my Docker Compose and my entry point and my Docker file. So I might have to start breaking these out into separate files eventually. So that's kind of the bummer. Like keeping track of all this is kind of a bit of a pain. All right, so Docker Compose run. So this should install. I should see a message here. Yeah, okay, installing gems. They're all satisfied because I do the check right off the bat. And this is pull request. Oh yeah, I wonder if this will fail. Oh, if is pull request equals true. Cannot open. Cannot open config. Oh, can't open it. Let's see if the files actually exist. Just comment those up for now. Oh, but I copied them to. Oh, right. Okay, I need to, at least for now, this needs to be etc. NGINX templates like that. All right, let's try that again. I need to install that. Oh, okay. How do I install? Debian. What package does this live under? Git text base. Oh, okay. It looks like git text base. Is that it? Text base. Right, like that with two T's. I think that's right. All right, let's see. Oops. No, I need to build. Let's see if this fails. Oh, it looks like it's succeeding. Okay. And this Apache 2 utilities is so that I have the HT password command. Yeah, the only downside is it has to do all the things again, so. Okay. All right, let's see. Let's try running this. So that works. Oh, okay. Adding password for user. Oh, did it put dash development? Oh, that's a problem. I thought that would. If it's dash, I just want a development. I don't want the. Variables notice. Oh, this is when I use it, not when I set it. I think. Is that, oops, did I screw that up? env, there it is. derailed and not in the final image. Consider set a value for a single command instead. Oh, okay. I think I screwed that up. So I think down here. Okay. I think I could just like. All right. I think it's not going to work because the file's going to say off, -off, which won't work. So let's etc. NGINX. Right, because put the dash in there. NGINX sites enabled. It should be a website.config file in here. Yeah, so I put it to -off, which is not what I wanted. It should be off. Okay, and then that password's going to be wrong too. So just quit that, and then ht -development. Okay, so those are wrong. I'm assuming these will get replaced when it gets run. Yeah, it must, because these ones get overwritten when it gets run. So yeah, okay, so these are just the default ones for here, and just to make sure that they exist. Okay, let's try building this again. Build no cache web. All right, try building that again, and hopefully everything's set correctly. If that looks like it's set correctly, I think I'll wrap up this video, and then we'll do a part 3 tomorrow. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. So yeah, so this all seems to be working. At least, and then then in part 3 we'll be actually trying and staging, and hopefully the darn thing works. Yeah, and I'm recording. Usually I record these videos like once a week, but I really want to get this done. It's one of those things where I thought it would just take maybe one video to add this all, because it's just basic authentication, but as always, it turns out to be a bit more involved. Especially when you're dealing, like, just adding it to the Docker image is not a problem. We want to have it all automated and work with our DevOps, with our automated build and automated deployment. Okay, let's see. All right, cool. Yeah, no dash anymore, so that looks better. So if we just cat the etc. NGINX sites enabled website. Okay, so like this passenger user, that got replaced by the old. That will phase this out too. I got with that. And then, yeah, so that's just off, ht password. And if we do the nginx.ht password file, okay, just development, so that looks better. So let's just try running this, and it should. Now in development, it should just work as if we're in development, so it shouldn't prompt us for anything. Oh, so that looks good. It's just taking a second to load. First time it loads. Okay, so that's good. And the refreshes should be nice and fast. Okay. Now, if we docker exec web dash sort of docker compose, and we go into the nginx file, sites enabled, website. And we put this to, say, restricted. And then we NGINX-S reload. So now I think if we go here, if I did this right, it should, yeah, okay. And our password is this, which will change when we actually put this into staging, but this is good enough for now. And then if I sign in, let's not save. Right, it always takes that first time. And now we're signed in. Okay, cool. All right, so that looked like it worked. So I think that's a. So I guess this will be a 3-part video. So the third part we will actually run this. I guess I get a little preview in case people sat all the way to the end here. So we do have. Here's the website. I guess I should point out too, if you see a bunch of black on here, it's because I have a high school student helping me with some of this with my website, and I don't want their name to show up here. So there's, yeah, it's probably gonna be some black around here. So right, we have the build process in here. So we'll make sure that all still passes with all the job. So even a simple website like this, we have a job that, oh, I gotta, high school students have been busy the last little bit. We have all these pipelines and stuff that run all the tests, which is nice. Oops, I didn't want the, I wanted to, I wanted to see the jobs. I guess each pipeline just has one job in it. Right, so we run like the backup, that's just caching, but we run the tests. Even a simple website, like we don't have 3 like tests and 1 system test, which is mostly just to test that, test the Calendly is working. That's what system test does, if I remember correctly. And there's a couple simple tests because it's a static website, but we still, I like to use sorbet. I use the standard Ruby linter. So yeah. So the next week we'll make sure that this all still builds, but more importantly, I guess, is when we go to again, if you see some black on here, it's because I want to hide that high school student's name or some other sensitive information. When we go to the previews, we want to make sure it's built correctly here, and we'll also have to set some. Yeah, I don't think, do I have to set, yeah, I'll have to set some environment variables here. So this is the only downside. I think there's this environment groups or environment, I don't know, I might have to play around. I might have to expand my knowledge of render, but again, this is probably, a lot of this is blacked out, but there's my environment variables are here that I have right now. I'll have to add a new one for the basic authentication. Like we'll set it to off, and then because the preview, I basically, yeah. So yeah, it's kind of a little fudgy hack just to get this all to work, but yeah, we'll see. Yeah, so that's what we'll do next time. So anyway, thank you all for watching. I really appreciate your time and attention, and hopefully you found something useful. If you did find this useful, feel free to share it with other people or stuff like that. Just it helps others find it. If you didn't find it useful, please send me an email to ask@SaturdayMP. If you could also just send me an email to ask@SaturdayMP if you have any questions or suggestions for improvements, some constructive criticism, stuff like that. And yeah, other than that, it's a nice sunny day here. I have to go for a little walk to run some errands. And I hope you also are having a nice sunny day. And I will catch you next time. Wishing you all the best. Take care.